Good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful day again, really warm and sunny. We've had a smattering of rain the last couple of days, just little gentle showers. So everything is feeling refreshed and everything's had a little drink and everything is looking lovely. So this is our carrot bed, and I was coming here now to prepare it ready for sowing some carrots, but some of the old carrots that were left in have gone to seed. So I'm quite in two minds as to whether to leave them and harvest the seed, and when I've done that, sow carrots elsewhere in the meantime, and then come and sow something else here. So it needs a good tidy up anyway, because we've got remnants of potatoes, I've got a couple of thistles, and there's a lovely bunch of self-heal here which I can collect for medicine. So I think I'm going to leave this bed and let these seeds come to fruition, ready for harvesting, and I'll just go into the greenhouse and sow a few things there for today. We enjoy a lot of carrots because we juice them regularly, as well as cooking with them and putting them into salads. So I've got several varieties here, and this one is from Irish Seed Savers. It's a Limburg yellow carrot. It originated in the Netherlands. It looks a bit like a yellowy parsnip, a yellowy carrot when it comes out. So I'm going to put some of these in this box that I've already prepared. Carrots are have been difficult for me in the past because you basically lay them on the surface and just to say cover them. They don't want to be deep, and I've often sown them too deep that they just can't germinate. So I've just made a little line there in the compost. So I'll just sprinkle them in that tiny indentation, and then I'll just cover them lightly. I think I've said it before, it's really imperative to grow your own food, and very few of us can be self-sufficient and grow everything we need. So the best thing to do is to say, well, maybe I can grow 5%, or maybe I can grow 10%, maybe I can just grow enough for the summer. So, boxes like this or any kind of container are worth sowing some things into. So this is deep enough for carrots, but it could be a window box or a planter that you'd put on your patio. Perhaps you could plant into that as well, and it's something. It means that you're empowering yourself and you're getting something that's going to be really healthy and chemical free and unchanged in any way if you use organic seeds. So it's definitely worth giving it a try. So we do have a problem with adulteration in our food, and as a historian, before I discovered this, I used to think that in the olden days everything was perfect, but it wasn't. There's been a history of adulteration for centuries, which again is why it's important to know where your food is coming from and to have some input into your food by growing it yourself. But I don't know if you remember the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. And when he climbs the beanstalk and he's up in the giant's land, the giant wakes up from a sleep and he says, "Fee, fo, fi, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." And it was only as an adult that I discovered that indeed that's what used to happen with flour in the 19th century. It would be adulterated with ground bones. And the Victorians wasted nothing, so it was a way of getting rid of bones, I suppose, and a way of shortchanging people on the measure when they weighed their flour out. So that continues to this day in various nefarious ways. Another thing you may not be aware of, and I advise you to research this, is the Codex Alimentarius. This was a code, a legal code set up in Austria by the emperor there in the 19th century again, which was supposed to protect people from the very thing I just mentioned, the grinding of bones into the flour. And there were many other types of adulteration as well. Unfortunately, this codex has been hijacked by powerful lobbyists who want to put all sorts of things into our food and make money from that, which doesn't benefit us in any way. So I would advise you to look that up and then think again about maybe growing some of your own food. I really strongly advocate that everybody does a little bit. You can do it anywhere. When I lived in England, I had a backyard, which in England means you just have a concrete area. In America, I think a yard is a garden or a field, but in England, I had a yard, concrete based. I had to put in planters. So I had just boxes and planters of all different sizes. I made raised beds, and that was my garden where I grew things. So it is possible. So there's no excuses. I'm getting my bossy head on now. So I have my little seed apron on and I've got all my seeds here that I want to sow. Everything I've sown so far is doing quite well. So this is like succession sowing. I'm just going to add more that'll keep us going further into the year. But another thing to bear in mind is over the last decade or even longer perhaps, there have been community garden schemes practically everywhere. And so I would advise you to look up community gardens in your local area or start one with your neighbours. You know, certainly in Europe, I'm sure there would be local council assistance, and there are lots of NGOs that are promoting this as well. In Ireland, there's something called, what is it? It's not Grow It Yourself. Yeah, it's Grow It Yourself, because you know the phrase do it yourself. This is Grow It Yourself, and you can get in contact with those people here in Ireland and they'll give you advice regarding how to do it, how to get started, who to put you in touch with. But there's definitely community garden schemes all over, which is worth finding out about. Even your Tidy Towns group might know something along these lines. But again, if it comes to the worst and there isn't one, start one off. I'm sure your neighbours would love to be growing their own food as well. So what I'm doing now is succession sowing. So I'm putting in a few more cauliflowers. So we don't want too many cauliflowers because we don't eat a lot of them. But I do have seeds that need to be used. So I'll just pop these in here into this little module. These are tiny seeds, so they're pretty much happy enough on the surface. But just a very light covering. And you know, the that sense of empowerment is just a thrill when you see your little seedlings coming up and then you transplant them and they get bigger and bigger. It's such a thrill. It really is. I can't tell you. The other thing to remember, just as when you're making medicine, is always label, because when things come up, they might look just like something else, and then you might not really know where to put it, and then it suddenly gets bigger and it's in the wrong place. So this is a cauliflower. And I must remember to label that box with the Limburg yellow carrot. So there we are. Okay, before I finish my seed sowing here, I just want to tell you something else that we've just so excited about. I just would love to share this with you. But 2 days ago, we got a delivery of a hive. So we now have our own bees. And we're not going near them at the moment. We're just letting them settle in. But I'll just show you where we've put them. Wow, they're very busy. See, they're just down there. They're sheltered by the trees. They're in a place where we're not coming down here all the time. We have to side this area, of course, but we're going to wait till next week, give the bees a chance to settle in and just get familiar with their new surroundings. So you can see they're very busy down there. So I think they'll be happy here because there's a lot of bee-friendly plants for them, lots of food for them. Might need to put a little bowl of water somewhere. But it's so exciting. So we'll keep you posted on how we get on with the bees. So I'll go back to my sewing and I'll see you next week. I hope the weather stays fine for everybody. Bye for now. I hope you enjoyed today's film. If you did, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. And have a look at the website danusirishherbgarden.com for more information about us and about the herbal medicine courses I offer and the Wise Woman Way training. And if you go to the shop, you can find the books, the Weed Handbooks and other herbal goodies. And remember, we put a new film out every Sunday. So looking forward to seeing you next week.